Have you ever dreamed of winning the lottery and living the life of your wildest fantasies? We all have. But what really happens when those winning numbers finally hit? What happens after the confetti settles and the reality of sudden wealth sets in? Today, we're diving into the stories of some of the biggest lottery winners ever. Some found fortune and fame, while others, well, let's just say the money didn't exactly bring them happiness. So, buckle up and let's take a journey through the highs and lows of these lucky and sometimes unlucky winners. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to Gabriel. You're doing great things for this channel, and we enjoy having you here. Now let's get to the video. Number 10, Richard Lustig. To get things started, we start with a man who won the lottery 7 times. Talk about good luck. From 1993 to 2010, Richard would rake in over $1 million. But Richard would say it wasn't luck at all. In fact, he had developed a system which he used to win all 7 times. If you want to learn and copy his system, no worries. Richard was nice enough to write a book, Your Chances of Winning the Lottery, in which he laid out the details of how the system worked. His book hit number 3 on Amazon's self-help book list in 2013. For example, Lustig would advise against using quick pick. He said every time you use the quick pick method, you get a different set of numbers. Therefore, your odds are always going to be at their worst. He suggests you stick with a set of numbers and play them all the time. But is there really a system to beat the lottery? Dr. Mark Glickman, a Harvard statistician, doesn't think so. The lottery is a random game of chance, and any claims of a system that can increase your odds of winning should be met with skepticism. The odds of winning remain the same, no matter what strategy is employed. Sadly, Richard Lustig would pass away in 2018 at the age of 67. What do you think? Do you think the 7-time lottery winner was onto something with his system? Or do you believe that winning the lottery is more luck than skills? Leave a comment below telling us your answer. And while you are there, go ahead and fill out a ticket for the like button and hand it in to the cashier at the subscribe counter. Number 9, David Edwards. At the age of 46 and unemployed, David Edwards' luck would change for the better, so it seemed. In August 2001, David would be one of 4 people to hit the $280 million Powerball jackpot. Taking home $27 million after taxes, he vowed to be responsible with his newfound fortune. During a news interview with his then-girlfriend Shauna Maddox, Edwards said, "You know, people, they're out of work, doesn't have hardly anything. And so I didn't want to accept this money by saying, I'm going to get mansions and I'm going to get cars, I'm going to do this and that. I would like to accept it with humility. I want this money to last, for me, for my future wife, for my daughter, and future generations," Edwards continued. However, the intoxicating perfume of sudden wealth would soon seduce Edwards away from his humble aspirations. David would marry his girlfriend Shauna, and the two of them would spend $3 million in the first 3 months. After the first year, they spent a whopping $12 million. They would buy a $1.6 million house and another $600,000 home, 3 losing racehorses, a Learjet for $1.9 million, invested in 2 businesses that failed for $4.5 million, and a collection of cars that included a $200,000 Lamborghini Diablo and lots of drugs and alcohol. Edwards and his wife would have multiple run-ins with the police and be arrested for possession of different types of drugs. They both would contract hepatitis from their use of needles. David and Shauna would divorce, and he would move back to Kentucky, where he would die alone and penniless in hospice care at the age of 58 in 2013. Number 8, Brad Duke. In 2005, a personal trainer at the world-famous Gold's Gym, Brad was already happy with the direction his life was going. Little did he know things were about to get a lot better, to the tune of $220 million better. "I really didn't think things could get better for me," Duke said. "I remember thinking that, and within a week, this happened." The first person he called was his dad and said, "Dad, sit down and prepare for some life-changing news." His father replied, "You're getting married?" And Brad said, "No." "Well, you must be that guy that won the lottery." his father guessed correctly. Despite his newfound wealth, Duke initially tried to maintain his normal routine. He would continue to work at Gold's Gym until he had to leave because of all the attention and distractions. The phones were ringing off the hook at some point. That had nothing to do with inquiries about the business, Duke said. But I think I kept teaching spin class for over a year. So I was still showing up and working twice a week on some level for well over a year. Brad would take the lump sum of $85 million, but his story was just beginning. Unlike many lottery winners who quickly squander their fortunes, Brad had a different plan in mind. Instead of buying the oh-so-necessary 10-bedroom mansion or a Ferrari, Brad decided to go against the grain and put his money to work. He would invest $45 million into low-risk investment ventures and another $35 million in high-risk assets. Using $1.3 million, he would create the Duke Family Foundation, a charity that helps nonprofit organizations. By 2016, he'd turned his initial $85 million into an impressive $1 billion through smart investments and restraint from large, lavish purchases. Brad's success didn't come by chance. It took him about a month before he told anyone about his winnings. During that time, he did extensive research on past lottery winners and found out that most of them lost all of their money in a short amount of time, around 5 years. Armed with that knowledge, Brad would build a team of trusted financial advisors. To be fair, he did splurge on some things, like other winners. He took 17 of his friends on a trip to Tahiti and would buy a number of bicycles. He also claimed that he developed a mathematical system for choosing his numbers. Unlike Richard Lustig, though, Brad has not won 7 jackpots yet, but given his financial acumen, he may not need to. Number 7, Jason Fry. Things were not looking good for Jason. His marriage was deteriorating. He had another baby on the way, and he owed more on his home than it was worth. Even though he had 3 jobs, a bartender, pouring concrete, and digging wells, he just couldn't get ahead. Just 3 days before Christmas, he made a choice that would alter the trajectory of his entire life. Stopping off at a store to buy a Florida lottery ticket, he won a staggering $47 million. Fry said he didn't know why he bought the ticket and that he only did it a handful of times in his life. However, Jason's story would soon take an unexpected turn. Like many lottery winners, Jason initially went on a spending spree, buying an Escalade, a boat, a motorcycle, a Shelby Mustang, and a house in Fort Myers. But unlike 70% of other lottery winners, Jason's spending spree was short-lived. He quickly pivoted to making smart business investments. In 2009, he acquired a Batteries Plus franchise and the franchise rights to 3 more. Jason learned about the franchise after visiting a friend's Batteries Plus store in Orlando. He believed that investing in the franchise business was one of the best decisions he's ever made. Now the franchise is branded as Batteries Plus Bulbs, as the store now includes a large selection of light bulbs. They also provide a repair service for smartphones and tablets, thus keeping up with the times and staying relevant. Number 6, Marie Holmes. Things people will do in the name of love. Marie was a single mother of 3, living in a single wide trailer with her mom and children. After being forced to quit her job at McDonald's to take care of her kids, one who has cerebral palsy, things wasn't looking good for Marie. But all of that was about to change when Marie Holmes won $188 million in the North Carolina Powerball. This is all for them. All the struggles I ever went through, it's all for them, Marie said. She would decide to take the lump sum payment of $88 million, which she said would go towards a house, tuition for her children, and money for her church and traveling. However, the first thing she did was spend $3 million to bail her fiancé out of jail. Yes, $3 million. Marie and Lamar McDowell started dating in 2012 and had 2 daughters together. In 2014, McDowell would be arrested and charged with drug trafficking. 2 months later, Holmes won the lottery. A few months later, McDowell was back behind bars, and this time, Marie would spend another $6 million for his bail. Marie would shower her fiancé with a very lavish lifestyle. She would buy a $250,000 home that they would live in for a year and gifted him a Chevrolet Stingray for another $250,000, clothes and jewelry amounting to $100,000, a $600,000 automotive shop, and 77 acres of land for a dirt bike track. She would spend an additional $80,000 on other gifts for him. In 2016, McDowell would be sentenced up to 10 years in prison after pleading guilty to a single count of selling heroin. A year later, the couple would split up. McDowell heard through a friend that Holmes was dating someone else and had given away the things she bought for him. In 2021, McDowell would file a lawsuit claiming that Holmes gave away over $1.4 million worth of cars, clothes, and property that belonged to him. Her lawyers argued that McDowell never really owned anything because everything was in her name. The case was ultimately dismissed, as if these relationship troubles weren't enough. Marie's lottery windfall attracted attention from an unexpected source, her own pastor. When they said the Lord works in mysterious ways, this probably wasn't what they had in mind. Marie Holmes's lottery windfall seemed to attract more than just family members looking for a handout. It caught the eye of her own pastor. Kevin Matthews, claiming to be Holmes's spiritual advisor, decided to take a rather worldly approach to church fundraising. Despite Holmes already generously donating $700,000 to Matthews's church, he apparently found this sum insufficient. In a move that left many questioning the meaning of gratitude, Matthews sued Holmes for an additional $1.5 million. He alleged she had verbally agreed to donate this sum to purchase land for a retreat facility, on top of her previous contribution. Matthews argued that the stress of Holmes not honoring this supposed agreement caused him significant emotional and mental distress. Holmes's legal team quickly responded, stating that no such agreement had ever existed and denouncing the lawsuit as baseless. The spectacle of a religious leader taking legal action against a congregant for an involuntary donation, especially after receiving such a substantial gift, raised eyebrows and questions about the true nature of spiritual guidance. While the final outcome of this legal battle remains unclear, it proves once again that no good deed goes unpunished, especially if you win the lottery. Number 5, Peter Lavery. Peter Lavery now. Let's hop across the pond to Northern Ireland for a refreshing change of pace. Meet Peter Lavery, a former bus driver from Belfast who hit the jackpot in 1996, winning a cool £10.2 million, about $13.5 million, in the UK National Lottery. Unlike many of our previous stories, Lavery's tale is one of shrewd business acumen and careful planning. When asked about his initial reaction, Lavery humbly stated, "I was a bus driver one day and a millionaire the next. It's still hard to take in sometimes, but take it in he did, and with remarkable poise." Instead of splurging on luxuries or getting caught up in the whirlwind of sudden wealth, Lavery took a different route. He sought professional financial advice and began to carefully invest his windfall. One of his most successful ventures, believe it or not, it was in the world of whiskey. Lavery invested in a distillery and launched his own brand, Titanic Whiskey, paying homage to Belfast's shipbuilding heritage. The business has been so successful that by 2013, Lavery's wealth had grown to an estimated £25 million, more than doubling his initial winnings. But Lavery didn't stop there. He's invested in a variety of businesses, from a taxi company to a pub and a manufacturing firm. He's also given back to his community, setting up a charitable trust to help local causes. When asked about the secret to his success, Lavery said, "I've been sensible with it. I didn't go mad. I thought about it carefully and took advice." He also added, "I still live in the same area. I've just got a bigger house now, that's all." Peter Lavery's story serves as a shining example of how lottery winnings, when managed wisely, can lead to long-term success and even greater wealth. It's a testament to the power of careful planning, sound investment, and keeping one's feet firmly on the ground, even when fortune decides to smile upon you. Number 4, Manuel Franco. In March 2019, at the tender age of 24, Franco's life changed dramatically when he won the $768.4 million Powerball jackpot. It was the third largest lottery win in U.S. history at the time. Franco, who had been working at a Target store, opted for the lump sum payment of $477 million, which came to about $326 million after taxes. During the press conference, Franco recalled his winning moment. "I was going insane. My heart started racing, blood pumping. I screamed for about 5 or 10 minutes. In a refreshing turn of events, Franco seemed to have a level head on his shoulders from the start. He immediately sought legal and financial advice, keeping his win a secret for weeks before coming forward. He expressed hopes of using his newfound wealth to help out the world and do some traveling. However, as is often the case with high-profile lottery winners, Franco's story doesn't end there. In the months following his win, a troubling trend emerged. Scammers began using Franco's name to run fake giveaway schemes, primarily through email and social media. These scams typically claim that Franco is giving away large sums of money to random individuals, asking people to provide personal information or even pay fees to receive their share. It's crucial to note that these are all fraudulent schemes. Franco and his legal team have repeatedly stated that he is not giving away money through any email or social media campaigns. The Wisconsin Lottery even issued a statement warning the public about these scams, reminding everyone that lottery winners do not give away their winnings to random strangers. They advised people to be wary of any unsolicited offers of money, especially those asking for personal information or upfront payments. This aspect of Franco's story highlights an often overlooked consequence of winning the lottery, becoming a target for scammers and fraudsters. It serves as a reminder to always be cautious and skeptical of too good to be true offers, even when they seem to come from verified lottery winners. As for Franco himself, he's kept a relatively low profile since his win. While we don't have detailed information about how he's managing his wealth, the fact that he sought professional advice early on and has avoided major scandals is a positive sign. Number 3, Jack Whitaker. Jack Whitaker was a self-made millionaire, having built a successful construction company in West Virginia. But there is no better time to come into an even larger amount of money than the holidays. And that is what happened to Jack. On Christmas Day 2002, Jack won what was at the time the largest single-ticket lottery win in U.S. history when he scooped up a staggering $314.9 million playing the Powerball. Whitaker pledged to live as if nothing had changed, except that we'll be able to do more good, just like he promised. He donated millions to various churches and set up a foundation to help low-income families in West Virginia. But with all the good he was doing, trouble started to brew. Family, friends, and strangers all had their hands out looking for a piece of the pie, all with their own sad stories. Being the man that he was, it was hard for him to say no. Soon, the weight of this sudden publicity was too much for him, and he started drinking heavily and made frequent stops to the strip club where he would be robbed multiple times. Tragically, he would lose his granddaughter to a drug overdose, which he blamed on the money. He would also face a number of lawsuits and DUI charges. One instance is that he was sued by Caesars Atlantic City Casino for bouncing $1.5 million worth of checks. By 2007, he said he was broke. The following year, after 42 years of marriage, his wife Jewel filed for divorce, adding to his personal turmoil. "I wish I'd torn that ticket up," he later said. Jack Whitaker died on June 27, 2020, at the age of 72. Number 2, Neil Wanless. One of Powerball's youngest winners, Neil Wanless, was just 23 years old when he won the $232 million Powerball jackpot in 2009. Before the win, Wanless was living and working on his family's ranch in Mission, South Dakota, when his parents fell behind on their taxes and had their home repossessed. This forced them to move into a mobile home, and he would sell scrap metal to make ends meet. One day, when Wanless went to buy livestock feed in a nearby town named Winner, he was down to his last dollars when he bought the winning ticket. Most people, after winning a multi-million-dollar Powerball jackpot, quit their jobs. No 2 weeks' notice needed. They figure the boss will notice when the Lamborghini pulls up to clean out the desk. Wanless, however, would do the opposite. After taking the lump sum of $118 million, he used some of the money to buy the Bismarck Trail Ranch, about 50 miles north of Rapid City, outside the small town of Vail. Once becoming owner of the ranch, he got to work building a well-rounded and lucrative cattle and farming operation. Keeping a low profile, Wanless also gave back to the community, donating to local charities and helping to build a new fire station. In 2022, Wanless would sell his ranch for $37 million. That is more than double the price he paid for it in 2009. Number 1, Edwin Castro. Now for our number 1 spot. We have the most recent and largest single-ticket Powerball win in history. On November 8, 2022, Edwin won a heart-stopping $2.04 billion, yes with a B, jackpot. Taking the lump sum, Castro would walk away with $997.6 million after taxes. Let's do a little math here. Castro won $2.04 billion. He took home $997.6 million after taxes. That means he lost $1.04 billion to taxes. I just wanted to point that out. As soon as Edwin was named the winner, he had a lawsuit on his hands. Jose Rivera claimed that he was the rightful winner and the ticket was stolen from him. Jose would file a lawsuit against Edwin and the convenience store that sold the ticket. However, lottery officials believe that Edwin is the legitimate winner. Even with the lawsuit looming over his head, it hasn't stopped Edwin from spending his winnings. So far, he had bought a 3-story, $25.5 million mansion in Hollywood Hills, which the upkeep alone is estimated at $255,000 to over $1 million annually. The home has 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a game room, wine cellar, home theater, wet bar, gym, cold plunge, steam shower, and sauna. Later, Castro purchased a $4 million Japanese-inspired house for his parents in Altadena, California, then a $47 million mansion in Los Angeles. He also has a garage full of vintage cars, one being a Porsche 911, which cost a mere $250,000. His love life also got an upgrade when it was made public that he was dating 24-year-old Peyton Vincent, a self-described poet and bikini model. It will be interesting to see how the lawsuit unfolds, but until then, Edwin is living his best life, and there is nothing wrong with that. And there you have it. From cautionary tales to success stories, we've seen that winning the lottery can be both a blessing and a curse. It takes wisdom and often professional help to manage such life-changing wealth. But if you thought these stories were wild, you haven't seen anything yet. Check out my video, 9 Lottery Winners Who Went Broke, for even more shocking tales. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about life's biggest wins and losses, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Remember, in the lottery of life, knowledge is your winning ticket. Keep watching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you'll be prepared if fortune ever smiles your way.